Ibrahim Traoré declines an official invitation to visit the United States. In a bold move that has left diplomats, analysts, and political commentators across the globe stunned, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has reportedly declined an official invitation to visit the United States. But why would one of Africa's most talked about presidents snub such a high-profile gesture from the world's most powerful nation? Was this a calculated act of defiance, a stand for sovereignty, or a diplomatic signal that the old world order is crumbling? From steering Burkina Faso toward Pan-African unity to cutting ties with Western military powers, Traoré has quickly become a symbol of resistance, and his latest decision only adds fuel to the fire. In today's video, we dive deep into the motivations behind this dramatic refusal, what it means for U.S.-Africa relations, and how it could reshape global diplomacy in the age of emerging alliances like BRICS and the Sahel bloc. So stay tuned, because what's happening in Burkina Faso might just be the beginning of a much larger geopolitical shift. Background of the situation: Burkina Faso, a landlocked West African nation, faces political instability, jihadist threats, and economic challenges. Since his 2022 military coup, Ibrahim Traoré has led with a focus on national sovereignty and economic self-reliance. Reducing Western influence, particularly from France and the US, his leadership divides opinions, praised for championing African independence, criticized for authoritarianism. Claims that Traoré declined a US invitation to visit the White House or attend President Trump's January 2025 inauguration lack credible evidence. Fact-checking by Dubawa in March 2025 found no confirmation from reputable news or U.S. government sources for either claim. Despite this, the narrative of Traoré rejecting a U.S. invitation resonates with supporters, reinforcing his stance against neocolonialism and his pivot toward non-Western allies like Russia. Why would Traoré decline the invitation? While there is no official confirmation of the invitation, the idea that Traoré would decline such an offer fits with his public stance and policies. Several reasons could explain why Traoré might choose to reject a U.S. visit based on his leadership priorities in Burkina Faso's current situation. Number one, focus on domestic priorities. Traoré has repeatedly emphasized his commitment to addressing Burkina Faso's internal challenges, such as security and economic development. The country faces ongoing attacks from jihadist groups like Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM, which have worsened since Traoré's rise to power. A June 2025 report from Yahoo News highlighted the deteriorating security situation, noting that Traoré's counterinsurgency efforts have struggled due to logistical weaknesses in the military. By declining a foreign trip, Traoré could signal that he is prioritizing his country's urgent needs over international diplomacy. Number two, resistance to Western influence. Traoré has built his reputation as a pan-Africanist leader who opposes Western imperialism and neocolonialism. Since taking power, his government has shifted away from traditional Western allies, particularly France, and strengthened ties with Russia. A May 2025 BBC article described how Traoré's regime ended its military cooperation with France and welcomed Russian paramilitary support. Declining a U.S. invitation would align with this policy of distancing Burkina Faso from Western powers, especially given Traoré's public criticism of foreign interference in African affairs. Number three, symbolic gesture of sovereignty. For many of Traoré's supporters, rejecting a U.S. invitation, whether to the White House or an inauguration, would be a powerful symbol of Burkina Faso's sovereignty. A July 2025 article from Voice Online praised Traoré as a figure in the tradition of African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Patrice Lumumba, who resisted Western dominance. By choosing not to visit the U.S., Traoré could reinforce his image as a leader who prioritizes African self-determination over diplomatic engagements with global superpowers. Number four, skepticism of U.S. motives. Traoré's government has faced criticism from U.S. officials, which may contribute to his reluctance to engage with the United States. A July 2025 article from Preuve de France reported that a U.S. general, Langley, labeled Traoré an enemy of U.S. interests due to his nationalization of Burkina Faso's gold reserves and his alliance with Russia. Such statements could make Traoré wary of U.S. intentions, leading him to avoid a visit that might be perceived as an attempt to influence or pressure his government. The broader context, Burkina Faso's shift in alliances. Traoré's reported decision to decline a U.S. invitation reflects a broader shift in Burkina Faso's foreign policy. Since 2022, Traoré has sought to realign the country's strategic partnerships, moving away from Western nations and toward Russia and other non-Western powers. A May 2025 Newsweek article noted Traoré's visit to Russia and his meeting with President Vladimir Putin, which underscored Burkina Faso's growing ties with Moscow. This shift includes military cooperation, such as the deployment of Russian paramilitary forces, and economic policies like the nationalization of gold reserves and the construction of a gold refinery to ensure Burkina Faso benefits from its mineral wealth. This realignment has resonated with many Africans, particularly young people, who see Traoré as a symbol of resistance to Western dominance. A July 2025 Voice Afro article explored whether Traoré could lead Africa away from neocolonialism, highlighting his popularity among those disillusioned with global power structures. Implications of the decision. If Traoré indeed declined a U.S. invitation, the decision could have several implications for Burkina Faso and its international relations. Number 1. Strengthening Pan-African support. Traoré's refusal to visit the U.S. could bolster his image as a Pan-Africanist leader, inspiring other African nations to assert their independence. His actions resonate with a growing sentiment across the continent that seeks to challenge Western influence and promote self-reliance. For example, a May 2025 Telegraph article noted that Traoré's fiery rhetoric and viral online presence have made him a hero among disillusioned African youth. Number 2. Tensions with the United States. Declining a U.S. invitation could strain relations between Burkina Faso and the United States, especially at a time when U.S. foreign policy is navigating complex global dynamics. The U.S. has expressed concerns about Burkina Faso's alignment with Russia and its nationalization policies. A refusal to engage diplomatically could further distance the two countries, potentially affecting aid, trade, or security cooperation. Number 3. Domestic support and criticism. At home, Traoré's decision would likely be celebrated by his supporters, who view him as a defender of Burkina Faso's sovereignty. However, his leadership faces challenges, including a worsening security crisis and accusations of authoritarianism. A June 2025 Yahoo News article reported that Traoré's military struggles against jihadist groups have led to increased repression of perceived threats, which could undermine his domestic support if security does not improve. Number 4. Impact on regional dynamics. Burkina Faso's shift toward Russia and away from Western allies could influence neighboring countries in the Sahel region, where similar anti-Western sentiments are growing. Traoré's actions may encourage other leaders to adopt similar policies, potentially reshaping regional alliances and security cooperation. However, this shift also risks isolating Burkina Faso from Western aid and support, which could exacerbate its economic and security challenges. Challenges in verifying the claim. Claims that Traoré declined U.S. invitations, like to the Oval Office or Trump's inauguration, lack evidence and stem from unverified social media, per Dubawa's fact-checking. A May 2025 Newsweek article highlighted AI-generated deep fakes amplifying Traoré's Pan-African image. These unverified narratives underscore the role of misinformation in shaping perceptions of his leadership and the need for caution, as they may serve as propaganda to bolster his anti-Western persona. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rejection of the U.S. invitation is more than just a diplomatic no. It's a powerful message, one that challenges the long-standing dynamics of global influence and redefines who gets a seat at the table. What do you think this refusal really means? Is it a push for true independence or a dangerous game of geopolitical chess? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of global power plays and international intrigue. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, the truth doesn't hide forever.